Viewer Matthew Daigle writes in, I have a question about the sustainability of the game. So what about when we reach the final tier and the rent boost permanently stays at 2x? Technically, your rent can grow exponentially from there. Examples of this are the top 3 players that have a total rent accrued of $40,000 or more. These players are earning a significant income, but still only generating the same amount of ad revenue as a lower tier player. What happens when more and more players reach these high levels or higher? The way I see it, and correct me if I'm wrong, eventually the amount of income being earned by players will surpass the amount of ad revenue that Atlas Earth is generating. I can only see this being corrected if there's a limit on how much you can withdraw during a certain amount of time. And even then, if there's a hard cap on how much you can withdraw at those levels. Wouldn't that discourage the players from continuing to watch ads since they can technically reach the highest level withdrawal limits of the game? I'm a strong believer in passive income and would love for this game to be successful long term. I would really love to understand this better so I can feel comfortable putting more of my time into the game. Well, this is on the minds of many people lately because I repeatedly see posts like this on Reddit on a daily or weekly basis. So in this episode, we're going to do our best to answer this. So please stand by. Before we dive in to solve that puzzle, I want to make a major disclaimer here. I do not work for Atlas Reality and have no inside information on their books, the numbers behind how the game was devised, and so forth. I am also not a financial advisor, so don't take any of this as financial advice. This is just my theoretical analysis based on game mechanics and the pedigree of Sami Khan, CEO and co-founder of Atlas Reality. Sami was a key player in Acorns, Honey, Dave.com, and Root. Those aren't just games now. Those are massive fintech platforms. To understand Atlas Earth's sustainability, we have to stop looking at it as a game and start looking at it more like a digital bank. A common concern is that rent grows exponentially at the 2x multiplier tier. Mathematically, it's actually the opposite. While your total rent increases as you add parcels, your return on investment, or ROI, slows down significantly. When you are in the 30x multiplier tier, your ads are incredibly powerful. But at the 2x multiplier tier, the amount of work or money required to double your income is astronomical. To double your earnings at the 2x multiplier tier, you have to double your land. That requires a massive influx of Atlas bucks. This is what's called the growth break. It ensures that as a player gets richer in the game, they actually become less of a liability to the company relative to the assets they've acquired. The house actually makes a better margin on a 2x multiplier tier than they do on a 30x multiplier layer. You're right to worry about that ad revenue alone might not cover a whale making $100 or more a month, but Atlas Earth has moved far beyond just ads. Officially, they say rent comes from ads, but the ecosystem is now a multi-headed beast, so to speak. Atlas Arcade and surveys, companies pay Atlas Reality to acquire you as a user or for your data. Atlas Travel, they earn affiliate commissions when you book hotels. Direct sales, think of Atlas Buck Packs and legendary parcel upgrades. Those have zero cost of goods for the company, but bring in massive cash. In fintech terms, this is revenue diversification. They aren't just a billboard, they are a travel agent, a data broker, and a digital real estate developer, as well as a game, all in one. Okay, once again, these numbers are not hard. I have nothing to go on this. It's just explaining the idea of where I'm going with this. This is where Sami Khan's background with Acorns and Dave comes in. It's called the float. When you spend $100 on Atlas Bucks, or when the company earns $100 from your ad views, that money doesn't just sit in a vault. It's likely invested in high-yield environments. If the company earns 5% interest on the capital players have put into the game, and they only owe those players a 2 or 3% annual yield in rent, the company is making a profit on the money before they even pay you. As more players reach higher tiers, the company's bank account grows, allowing the interest to cover the payouts. They aren't paying you from today's ad money, they're paying you with the yield on the economy's total value. How about those massive 50 times multiplier super rent boosts? Those happen twice a month and account for the majority of a higher tier player's income. Crucially, those are often sponsored. When a big brand sponsors an SRB, they are the ones writing the check for those 32 hours of increased rent. This allows the quote-unquote whales to get their big payday without draining the company's core reserves. It's a brilliant way to keep the top 1% of players engaged and watching ads without breaking the bank. You mentioned that a withdrawal limit could protect the game, but I would argue that having lower withdrawal limits would negatively impact the game overall and maybe signify there was an issue with the game. By removing the friction and having a pretty high withdrawal limit of $500 per withdrawal, with a manual review needed over $400, Atlas Earth has built trust. If you know you can take your $50 out whenever you want, you're actually less likely to do it. You're more likely to let it sit, or better yet, reinvest it into more Atlas bucks. The goal is to keep you in the ecosystem, not to lock you out of your money. So, is it sustainable? Well, if this was just a smaller indie game, I would be very skeptical. But because it's built by fintech veterans who understand capital yield, sponsored events, and diversified revenue, the 2 times multiplier tier definitely isn't a bug. It was built specifically into the game with a purpose, and it's the feature that keeps the lights on, so to speak. The whales aren't breaking the game. They are the anchors of a much larger financial ship. They've put a lot of money into it. But what do you think? Does seeing the math or my idea of actually what's happening in the game give you a little bit more peace of mind? Let's discuss it in the comments. This has been Bronze Dragon. I hope everyone on your side is happy and healthy. And hey, as always, I'll see you in Atlas Earth.